Cheers to great food and better beer. Enjoy AJ's fresh food with dine-in, carry-out, and delivery options.
Really hard for the entire game. We haven't had bad first halves in that 4-game losing streak. We've had bad second halves. We've got a couple of really bad starts to the second half. And then obviously we haven't had great finishes the second half. But it hasn't been something, it's been a little like deceiving for us because you come into halftime and you don't you're not down 12, right? You're not down 9, you're up 12, you're up 1, you're down 2, whatever it might be in those 4 games. And then we just haven't got that start, and that's what we wanted to do a better job. I thought we took care of the basketball the whole night, but we just didn't embrace the physicality on the glass. We got manhandled in the first half, and shots went up. I thought Cam really gave us a spark in the second half, defensive rebounding. We've had success in transition, pushing the basketball, and but if you can't rebound the basketball, you're not going to get into transition. So I thought our activity on defense was good in the first half. We forced them into 8 turnovers probably in the first 10, 11 minutes. And then they settled into the game. It's like they settled into the game after that and did a better job taking it over. And then in the second half for us, we settled into it and did a better job rebounding. But it's not as bad as it seems. It's never as good as it seems. I thought our guys had, played hard and competed, and tough game, well coached. He's a really good coach. They're very physical, and they put you in binds and make it difficult. So I thought this was a great win for us, and hopefully a confidence booster to get on a winning streak instead of a losing streak.
The offensive rebounding, in particular, I think they were up 9-0 at halftime. You guys win at 16-9, and he only had 6, but just the way you guys were converting off of those,
right,
seemed to just that was where the momentum built.
Yeah, I thought we were just more active, and so getting some of those offensive rebounds were more chase down type rebounds, kind of like Brady steals, just being aware, coming on somebody's blind side when they don't see you, and it was huge because we'd have been in a much better position, obviously at halftime, if we could rebound, and it's just something that we have to keep working on. We have to be quick in basketball. Sometimes it's positioning. We knew we were going to be up against it with switching. We were not going to let Daly and Bilodeau pop and just get open shots. So, but with that, there's a downside to it. You got to be physical. You got to knock them out of the post. You got to hold your low man, and have discipline with it. A couple times we just, for whatever reason, we got behind them. Then you got to make them throw it over the top, and your low man's got to be able to get that steal for you. But you also got to put pressure on the ball. So those 3 people have to stay connected. Keep pressure on the ball, knock out the post, and then play. But if they're going to skip it and go, then you got to get out of it and then be able to break their rhythm so they don't shoot, and everybody's got to sprint to help. But we knew if shots go up and we're in front of them, we're obviously not in great rebound position. That wasn't the backbone of everything, why we didn't get rebounds. I just thought they were quicker, whether it was Stefanovic or any other guys. I just thought they were quicker to the ball in the first half, and then obviously I thought we did a much better job in the second half.
Can you just speak broadly to your team scrap in the final 10 minutes and what that says about their response to adversity?
Yeah, it's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to, get into tight games and right there and enjoy it. And embrace the toughness of a game. Embrace that and just keep doing your job and keep playing. And the thing that's really held us back more than anything has been when we turn it over and then when we don't do our job defensively. And I'm not talking about containing the dribble or things of that nature that you're always trying to do. And when we do our job, we're way more successful. And any coach will tell you that because you disconnect what you're doing. And so it's not, it's not actually one play. It's more than one play that leads to it because, it's like missing something or missing class or doing something. After you miss it one time, boy, it's a lot easier to miss it again. And it's a lot easier to miss it that third time. And then it just keeps growing, right? And then all of a sudden you've got a lot of misses right there and you just get fired from your job. But more than anything, it can build the other way. When you keep doing your job and then they make tough shots, live with it. Understand you got to live with some of those tough shots. but you can't put people to the free throw line, you can't allow layups. And so that for us is what we got to hang our hat on. We got to hang our hat on doing our job, embracing the toughness and the physicality of the game, and just keep making plays and having fun with it. Because when you have fun with it, you're going to be more loose on the offensive end, you're going to shoot better.
Matt, after the struggles you guys have had the last 2 weeks, just how important was it for your players to kind of come together and take the responsibility to get that ownership and the leadership responsibility?
Yeah, it was huge. Just building confidence, like just feeling good about yourself. Like nobody likes to lose. We have competitive guys on our team. They've had a lot of success. So this is the first time anybody has had 4 games losing that are playing on our team. So I don't care who you are as a coach. I don't care who you are as a player. You have self-doubt. Right? And then when you lose games, like now you start to look into it, but you gotta stick to what you're doing. And when you stick to what you're doing and you stay connected and you fight, you're gonna grow and you're gonna get out of some things. And so hopefully we can build and just get better at it. You gotta relearn some things, and but I definitely think this will help us and help. I know it'll help us. It'll help our confidence, because this was not easy. This was not easy. This was a great win. Guys had to make plays. Guys had to make tough plays. Make huge shots, and because that's a really good team. That's a team that can go far in the NCAA tournament.
Matt, when you're scoring 20 to 25 points a night, you're a natural leader. But how necessary was it that Trey grew as a kind of a vocal leader and a guy that these guys could go to with questions and things of that sort? That, the type of guy that calls these guys into a players only meeting.
Well, that's got to be able to. It's no different than meeting with a therapist or meeting with the counselor and things of that nature. Like you can't interfere, and you got to trust your leaders. And because that's when that happens and you interfere, it doesn't allow it to be whole, and they're not going to get anywhere with that. You're not going to make improvements. So the one thing is when you call meetings and you do things as an individual like that, like you got to own your stuff to start with. And once you own your stuff, now you can grow. Now it's easy to speak. And so I always say about that as a coach, is like I got to fix my shit before you fix yours. So, all right, and that's just what it is. And so if you take ownership as a player, because the coach takes ownership, now you're going to grow, and now you're going to get better. But just watch film and be honest. But when you have meetings like that, those are better. It's just like we've grown into a handful of times of having player-led teams. And sometimes they look at that as a weakness of a coach. It's actually a strength of his coach, because you're empowering your players. But you can't empower people that don't do what they're supposed to. You've got to empower the people that put their foot forward, they own their stuff, they get better, they want to help Purdue. We had a couple guys play the whole game tonight, and they normally do it anyways, but they played and they were functional, and they battled through fatigue, and they battled through locking horns with those guys. That's a good team, man. That's a good team. If a football game broke out, we're not winning that. We are not winning that game. But there's no reason we should fumble, though, right? Shouldn't it be interceptions, right? Take care of it. Learn to play and play to your strengths. And when you do those things and you have 9 turnovers, you're giving yourself a chance. And sure, you struggled on the glass, but you gave yourself a chance. And when we do that, we have 9 turnovers, and we're in that ballpark, we're normally pretty successful.
Go ahead, Keith.
Matt, Braden sets the all-time assist record as a junior here. Just him, his career, what he's done for you guys through this point.
Well, just first of all, congratulations to Bruce Parkinson. Anytime you can be at a great basketball school like Purdue and hold an award that long, no different than Joe Barry Carroll last year and Rick Mount last year, when Zach Edey broke those records. Make sure you give that just due to the people that came before you, right? And Bruce Parkinson was a great player here and was a very successful player. But to hold award, honors or records or something, anything like that long is pretty cool, because records are made to be broken. But for someone to do it in their junior year, is pretty cool. But no, he's got a knack, man. He works hard. He's a good player, but. He walked into this. A lot of times people want to give you credit. He walked in here passing. He's got a feel and he's got a read. Comes from a basketball family, so just happy for him. When you go through this and you're one of the leaders and you're one of the best players, you're one of the best players in the country. you know, you take it personal. It's hard. You know, it's people don't understand that. Like it's not the people that get the most shit are only the best players. Like, look at the NBA. Like, you got all those guys who are great. All they want to do is compare each other. Like, who cares? Like, just win the game. They're all great. They're all great. Like, give them all their flowers, right? Like, but like, there's always that comparison. And that's, you know. But for him, man, he's stayed with it. He stayed with it. Fletcher, Trey Kaufman, they've stayed with it. And that's what we need. Like, we need those guys, you know, at the front of the battle. And, you know, fighting people and doing the right things and just helping Purdue win like they've done their whole career.
Hey, Matt, what's it like for you this season? You're typically the team with all the big guys, and you're looking out on the floor and you're seeing guys that are bigger than Purdue. How big of an adjustment has that been for you this year to be doing that?
Yeah, I think it's totally ridiculous. Obviously you know the other scope of it, no different than like a prosecuting attorney and a defense attorney. Like, you know, some of the best defense attorneys are people that started off in the prosecutor's office for 7-8 years because they understand the other side. So like with Mara, when he came in, we spent a lot of time for Mara, both how to attack him and then how to defend him. I know it didn't look like it there at the end, but they're not going to beat us with twos at the end. We were up 12 points. We were just making sure they weren't going to get threes. We were going to play one-on-one. And then if they wanted to get those and we shoot free throws, then like, so be it. But yeah, it's a little different. It's a little different. Our guy is really efficient in how he plays, but then he's not, you know, he's not that as a defender or a rebounder. You know, I thought he did some really good things tonight defensively, but like, it's hard for him when he's got to carry the load like that and play 40 minutes. But it's not. It seems to not bother him when he has the ball in scoring position. Like, you know, guys that can score are never fatigued when they have the ball in their hands. Right? He's a fabulous player. Like Trey Kaufman has really helped him and has really improved himself and helped his cause. But going against like Mara is a little surreal, you know. But I prefer guys like that to be on our team.
It felt like when TKR was in with first, you had TKR more of like a flat hedge or even just switching, and then when you had him in with Heidi, it's more of a deep drop. What's kind of the thought process behind having those two separate schemes based on personnel?
It was what they were running. We messed it up a couple times. So we played out of, we have a name for it, it's not important. When they went to like their chin action where they cut through, which they don't do a lot of, when they did that, we just tried to hold that guy there. So when he came off the ball screen, we just dropped, and then we switched it up top. So when they went into their flat ball screen up top, we wanted to weak it and send it to their weak hand. And then when they were going to go Spain, you speak my language? Okay. When they wanted to go Spain, right there, we just brought our guy up and switched it up top, and then we dropped our 5. But we wanted to make sure the 5 greeted the 5 diving, so he wasn't getting a deep post up the time. That's why you saw Bilodeau get that kind of a 10-foot right there. He could make that, and we wanted to have an early hand with him right there. But we just didn't want Andrews and Sebastian Mack attacking Trey. We wanted to keep that out of there. They exited, they sent it the other side in the second half a couple times, so we had to stay right there, then drop out of it. You saw them snake it a couple times and get us. And that if they would have stayed the same side, we'd have been fine in our drop. But when they snaked it, we dropped back like we were going to go Spain, and now that created the space to be able to snake. So then we switched at the end of the game and told him to touch his shoulder, and when he exited out of it, we would still stay with it like we did, because you just can't ignore that when he goes to the other side. So when we weak it, we keep it to that side, okay? So now we come up into it that way. Well, he exits the other way. Now we told that other guy to hold it in cover 2 to play that if he went and took it. So we took it and they went out of it. Our guy in cover 2, you got to come high in cover 2 and force him to throw it to the corner, because that's why you see all those wing to corner 1-mores. You got to eliminate it, so they got a 1-more and invert it, but throw it to the corner. But when you throw it to the corner, that's hopefully more time. Then you X out of that in your rotation, then everybody has to come over to it. So then once we got to that and we knew the exit, so we called off what we were doing, and then we played it flat, but we touched his shoulder to take the space so they wouldn't get that. Make sense? Well, you guys cover the damn sport. I mean, he said he was speaking my language. Yeah. So, yeah. But it goes into it because each guy is different. So, like, if you don't have somebody that has a 5 that can swallow up the ball, they see more. And so, like, people just think, like, you'll see people that tweet things or talk things basketball, and it's personnel, right? Like, understand, like, people that can roll and get flip-up dunks, they're different than people that can't roll and get flip-up dunks. People that, like, that are gigantic, like Mara, like, you gotta understand they're different. And you can't let them get into operating areas. Like, Mara needs to be at 12 feet. You keep him there, because when he gets to 6, you're at his mercy, right? And so, like, now when you go into the game and you do stuff, like, everybody looks at things.
Just your sideline mannerisms in a game like this, is that something you've had to think about over the years, and you stay pretty stoic?
Yeah.
Is that a choice?
It's a choice, yes. I'm not always stoic. It comes in time. I just jumped, when I first started, I just jumped over the fight too much. I was too emotional. That's why I changed it to football, and how, like, Sasha has out-of-bounds plays, PJ has offense. We split the scouts between Terry and Paul. B always handles personnel, because I want everything to be clear. I want everybody to know what they're supposed to do. I don't want that back and forth with 4 different opinions from 4 different people. Let's set our standard. Let's set how we're doing things. But let's work on things. Like, when we get in June and July, like we practice. We practice, because it's the most important thing. If you're a good player, like, you're gonna work on your game, because this is how you got here. But, like, you need to know what's going on. Like, you need to know those types of things. So at the end of the day, like, we're always like, hey, let's do our job. Let's do our job. We started in June, we worked in July, we got back to school in August. First day of school in August, we practiced 2 hours. They give you 4 hours, a lot of time, right? So they give you 4 hours. We practice twice a week for 2 hours until we get to regular practice. So anytime you get on, I just want them to know, like, what they're doing more than anything. So I don't need to go back to things. You know what you're doing. You're an intelligent person. You got, admitted into Purdue. Like, you know your job, and do your job and have fun with it. And so, but I know this, when I'm stressed out and I get worked up and I do things, they're stressed out. I want them to have fun. I want them to play. I want them to be on edge. So sometimes you gotta be able to get them and flip them. But that's really my personality. It's not always my competitive personality. That's really my personality. So, but if you just dive into being yourself, like, now you're off. The authenticity of it really helps, and that's what really you want them to do. You want them as people, like be yourself. It's okay. Like, don't worry about anything. Like, as long as you're not doing stupid shit, like be yourself. Like, and I think that really helps them grow, and it kind of empowers them. It kind of empowers them. It does empower them.
Can it be important to a team's psyche when the same things were kind of happening? We're up 10 in the first half, got away, and in the first 10 minutes of the second half, they're shooting 75%, like the last couple of opponents did, and then your guys beat it back.
Right.
Can that be important to a team's psyche when you see it all happening in the end, and then you just respond differently?
No question. No question. We haven't played well in the second half. We've also played good teams, and some of it was self-inflicted, and some of it was other teams playing well. Probably a combination of both. But yeah, anytime you get back somewhere where you had success, then you have struggles, and now you have success again, it's good, because you can't worry about everything. You just simply can't. But you gotta worry about yourself. Like, you gotta be able to say, hey man, we're in competition. Like, here it is. Like embrace that. And embrace those tough moments, because that's what makes you special.
You already mentioned before, Cam, 9 rebounds in 12 minutes in the second half. Just how did that feel? It was that individual response, that accountability, and that embracing the toughness.
Yeah, I thought he had 3 opportunities in the first half to make similar plays, and he made in the second half, and he didn't. A couple weak sides, a couple rebounds, got his hand on one basketball that he had to get. And like, we talked to him about those things. We talked to him about this week. He says, like, you've got to be able to embrace that physicality, especially work downhill and go rebound and get possessions for us. We didn't just say it to him, we said it to everybody. But I thought he was great. It was one of those things that made more sense for Cam to be on the floor. And so, like, I think it's the ultimate compliment when you come off the bench. is like when you force the coach to play. And we were better with him in there. And I thought he did a really good job of giving us a start. Thank you.
Thank you.